Okay, folks, when I say quick and dirty, there's really no dirt involved, unless you count the dirt that's in the old Cuckoo movement. But we've got this little 30-hour Cuckoo clock here that's in need of a new movement. It's worn out. It doesn't want to run. And I've got the new movement right here. Now, the dirty part of this video is more in the realm of cheating, if you want to call it that. Cheating to speed up the replacement process of the movement. And I'll show you what I mean as we go through the replacement. So let's get started. Now we will start by removing the hands off this little guy. We'll need to, actually, let's remove the top here, just to get that out of the way. It just held on with a couple of clips. Some of you folks out there might be saying, well, why are you replacing the movement on this little Cuckoo clock that's maybe not worth all that much? Well, I was just up to an area up in, I live in Pennsylvania. We have an area up in New Hope called Peddler's Village, and there was a shop in there selling a bunch of new Cuckoo clocks from all different sizes, from thousands of dollars all the way down to, maybe a couple $100s or so. But these little Cuckoo clocks here, one just like this, they're going for $350. And you can get these movements new. I get them wholesale, but even on a retail basis, you can get these movements for much, much less than that. Now, this particular clock I'm giving to my daughter, this was given to me, so she wants a daughter for her, she wants a Cuckoo clock for her apartment. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a new movement in there because this movement's totally worn out. I'll leave a link to where you can get new Cuckoo movements for these types of clocks. Now, you do have to measure the distance from the post here, and if you hang the pendulum on, you can do that in the original, the old movement. Measure the distance between here and to the middle of the pendulum leaf, and that gives you an idea of how what type of movement, because these come in different pendulum lengths, so you have to be careful to do that. And it'd be something like this. I don't have the pendulum hanger on it, but just measure from the top there down to the middle of the leaf. Then you'll get an idea of what you need. I think this one was the 19 centimeter, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I've got the new movement. Let's get started here now. I took the hands off, of course. You saw me do that. I'm going to just detach this bird wire here. I just bend it with my fingernails. It's easier than even just trying to hit it with a pair of pliers. And just close that door. We'll latch it. Come around to the back here. Take the back off. Now we can start by just removing the pendulum hanger right here. We're going to transfer that over to the new movement. I might want to throw that in the cleaner. Now we'll get the chains off here. Just pull them through a little bit here, and then we'll take the hooks off just by bending chain link here. And we can take the chains off here. Comes with new chains when you get the new movement. They're right here, so we don't need these. Comes with the hooks and the rings also. They're in the package here. All right, let's get these bellows out of here. Sometimes these pipes are glued in, which can be a bit of a problem. You just have to crack them loose by putting a screwdriver in there. I don't think these are. These have a screw, but even with a screw, sometimes you find that these have glue on them too. Hopefully that won't be the case with the one that you're working with. And we'll just pop these bellows out. Of course, they have a little locating pin in here too, which goes into the pipe here. And hook that. We'll take the low side off, or the low note bellow, I should say, which is usually mounted on the left side. The coo of the coo. The coo of the cuckoo, I should say. Now the hammer was a little bit in the way, but we were able to work around it. Get this bellow pipe out. Now let's get this movement out of here. We just have 4 Phillips head screws. You know what? I'm going to get a better screwdriver. Well, this is magnetic. But I have other screwdrivers here that I like to use. I use these for my drone rebuilds. If you haven't seen that channel, that's my other channel, Dalton Drone and Discovery Zone, where I work on rebuilding drones. Do a lot of featuring of drones on that channel, as well as some explorations. This should be a pretty short video. This was a pretty straightforward replacement here. If you have a musical cuckoo clock, you get a little more involved, and hopefully in the future I can maybe show you one of those if I get one of those in for repair. Clients usually go for this kind of repair on a more modern clock, particularly if it's one that maybe has some sentimental attachment to them. Maybe they brought it back from Germany, or a relative brought it back from Germany. And in most cases, it's worth it to them. I mean, I have to charge, of course, the cost in labor to replace the movement here. And I do add a little bit as profit onto the cost of the movement, but it's not too much. If you can get these done relatively quickly, then it's good for you. Good for the customer, because they get a brand new clock out of it for much less than they're going to have to pay to get a new one. And they retain their old clock for sentimental reasons. All right, we can set this aside. Now here's where the quick and dirty part comes in. I'm going to do a little bit of cheating here, if you want to call it that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to transfer over this post to the new movement, because they are the same from this era. As you can see, I don't want to get my fingers on this. I'm going to put some gloves on when I'm working with the new movement, but as you can see, they're virtually the same. So we'll do a little bit of transferring of parts over, so we don't have to bend this post here, take all the time to get this bent right, which can be a little bit difficult. And we're going to have to bend the hammer here to get that in the precise place where it needs to be. Well, you don't really have to do that either. I'll show you what we're going to do. First, we'll start with the old movement. Don't even need to take the bird off. I'm going to leave it on there. And I got a screwdriver. I want to get a pair of tweezers here. First of all, you want to disengage the spring here that snaps the bird back in. That's right here, so we'll just unhook that. Let that zip around there. And we're just going to sort of carefully open these up. We don't care about this movement because we're not retaining this movement. Let's see if we can pop that out of there. It's not open wide enough quite yet. We'll just see, we got that out. And we're going to disengage the spring for the hammer, which is right here. Take that out. And there we go. Pretty much everything we need from this movement we've got now, so we can set it aside. Now let me get some gloves on. You know what? I might want to throw that in the cleaner. It's got a little bit of green gunk on it. Maybe somebody put some kind of lubrication on that in the past. We'll throw that in the cleaner real quick. This lever is fine. And there's never any wear on these parts. They just don't move enough to create wear. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the cleaner, and we'll bring it back. Hey, while those parts are in the cleaner, we're going to go ahead and take these two parts off of the new movement so we can transfer the old parts onto it. We're going to release the spring, the tension spring. This one we're going to be carefully open up the post holders here. We'll just pop that off. So we can get our old post with the Cuckoo bird still attached. Drop that in. We want to make sure that this, let me pop that back in there, piece here, you can see right now it's in the wrong side of this little lever right here. So we need to make sure that that falls just like that. So that's in. We can go ahead and we'll just squeeze this shut, make sure that these are level. Don't need to make this super tight, just squeeze it shut again, just so we can't pop out. And we're going to attach this little spring here. Just bring it around. I think we just need to bring it around once. If it doesn't have enough spring to it, bring it around twice. I believe it's just once, but we'll check that. I think we're going to be okay with that. And we can take this new hammer out, just disengage the spring there. Now this is interesting. So we have an additional piece here. That won't allow us to do that anymore. This is something new that they've got here. This is a locator pin for a shield now. This is what they have on the new movements, evidently. So it looks like we're going to have to work with this hammer, and we're just going to have to bend it to fit. Very interesting. In the past, you were able to just remove this, as you saw I did on the old movement, by just flipping it up and taking it right out. There's no way to do that now. Alright, so this may not be so quick. We'll go ahead and re-hook this up here. Rehook that spring. We will need to bend this up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and grab the old hammer, put it back in the old movement, and we'll take some measurements. Alright folks, I took some measurements here of the old hammer and just bent the new one to roughly about the same dimensions, or the same length, I should say, where the bends are. We'll do some final tweaks once we have this in the case, and I'll cut off the excess the wire here that you see. And we're going to squeeze this hammer shut up here. It's designed right now that you can move the hammer up and down. It's very tight, but once we squeeze it shut, then it's going to lock it into place. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll get the chains on here. Fortunately, this is not going to be as quick as I thought, with the very fact that we couldn't replace this hammer. We couldn't take this old hammer and put it in the new movement. So anyway, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and we'll get the chains ready here. Dump those out. Nice new shiny chain. Look at that. Very nice. That's what you get with a new movement. We'll go ahead and we'll drop this in here. This shielding is something that's relatively new on these new movements. Not really sure it's needed. I guess it does help the chain from, keeps the chain from slipping off, although that's not very common. Mainly for transport. It won't come off in normal operation. I want to look at these movement standoffs here. So you can see they're roughly the same. I'm talking about these here. This one's on a little bit of an angle. You can move these, or riveted, but they're not riveted so tight that you can't move them. I might move this one a little bit here if I can. Just grab it up here. It's not easy to do because we're so close to the bird post. There, moves it a little bit there. This one I want to move out just a tad maybe. See how that lines up with the holes in the case. And let's feed our chains in here. Still relatively quick, even with having to bend that hammer there. You still save a lot of time by replacing the bird post with the old one. Not having to bend that. That can be a pain to get that just right. And these movements are already lubricated from the factory, so there was no need to put any oil on these. I might put a little oil on where the pendulum hanger goes through the crutch. I guess those chain guards, if you want to call them that, might be handy for this situation here when you're flopping the movement around here trying to install it. drop that in there. The holes line up perfectly, so we're good there. It's interesting. It looks like, well, maybe not. I was going to say maybe the hand shaft is a little bit longer on this, but it may not be. Let's go ahead and prop this up here so it doesn't lay on the hand shaft. Put our moving mount screws back in. I usually have a foam pad that I set these on. I just didn't feel like going in and grabbing it from where it is in the garage. Alright, we'll tighten those down. Let's open the door up here. We can latch the bird on again. Probably should have dusted this case off before sticking the moving in, something I normally do. Squeeze that shut. You can see, pretty much in. Now I'm going to take and just get the Cuckoo to come out. We'll see if the that's the half hour. Turn it around so you can see it. Coming out just fine. Half hour. Okay. Looks like the hand shaft does not rub it anywhere on the dial. That's important. So we're clear there. Let's take a look at this hammer. We're going to see how far we're off on the hammer. I'll put this on. So you can see they have this nice little cutout here that you can actually look and adjust the hammer. It's actually pretty close. Going to bend it out slightly. And I'm going to just go ahead and squeeze it shut. Right there. Then we're going to cut the excess off. Right about there. Let's see what it looks like. Let's go ahead and put the back on. Let's see. I think that's perfect, folks. Alright, let's put the bellows in here. Hook that in. You might need to bend this down, this lever down, because it looked like it was a little bit bent on the original movement, so it doesn't lift the bellow as high. That in there. Pop this bellow in here. It's the high note. It goes on the right hand side. Again, we'll push that locating pin in there. Alright, that's what it looks like. Alright, let's see if we have to adjust the bellow levers. That's the half hour. You can hear the rack drop there. I know that's the hour. Yeah, that's lifting too high. You can see that there. So we're going to have to bend that lever down. see here. Make sure the two levers are not interfering with each other. You bend that a little bit more. Maybe bend this one a little down also. And I don't want it to interfere with the crutch, so I'm going to bend this in a little bit like that. At the same time, we want to clear the lever that's underneath of it there. Make sure we have clearance. I actually want to bend this lever up a little bit here. Probably didn't need to bend that down at all. The bellows not lifting quite high enough. We'll bend it back up. Alright, I like that. Wipe this top off here, it's dusty. Let's count the cuckoos here. Count the cooks. 7. So we'll put the hands back on. 7 o'clock. We're going to put the new minute hand washer on there.
Well, come on by. I'm here all afternoon. I don't even know, to be honest with you. I don't normally work on these types of clocks. We'll talk about it when you get here.
Okay, no problem. You got it.
Alrighty, see you.
Sorry folks, my watch was calling me. Quite a world we live in. Anyway, let's continue with this. We want to put the chain hooks and rings on here. I am a clock shop after all. I actually have the shop that's in my house. And people call to make appointments. Put the ring on here. Sorry if I get off camera with this here, folks. I'll sit down and you can see what I'm doing here with these hooks and rings. Just opening up the last link and putting our hook or ring in it, and then just reclosing the link. All right. Now we can just put the pendulum hanger on here. Squeeze that shut. I did clean the pendulum hanger, of course. I think I did mention that. Put a drop of oil. I like to put a little oil in here. If I can get this oil, there it goes. It's starting to come out here. A drop there, a drop there. All right, we're going to put this on a little test stand here, and I'm going to turn the camera around here to give you a better view of what I'm doing here to put it in beat. All right, I've got it up here on the test stand. Got the weights on, and you can see it's ticking. Put the pendulum on here. We'll see how it sounds. A little bit out of beat. Not bad, though. I'm going to see here. I'm going to bend it. Bend the crutch a little bit. Oop. Bend it the other way. That's too far that way. Sounds pretty good right there. That's the half hour. Looks like I have a little bit of interference here with the top bellow lever. You can see it actually hitting the hammer, so I'm going to bend that out a little bit. That's pretty good right there. And we'll just bend this hammer in a little bit. I want to stick the back on it. See how we are with the hammer, because I just bent it. Yeah. I gotta bend it back out a little bit. Out and up. Doesn't take much. We'll bend it up a little bit. Yep, still not enough. Let's go ahead and put the clamp on it before we knock the clock off here. Alright, I like that. We're going to begin to bend this out just a little bit. It's a little close to the gong. Let me just back it off slightly. We want it so that the hammer's not sitting on the gong. That's pretty good, maybe a little bit more. Gong needs to resonate after it gets hit. So it needs to be sitting up off the gong like maybe 32nd of an inch or so. Okay, let's see how that sounds. Alright folks, here we go. Folks, that'll do it for this not so quick and not so dirty movement replacement. And not being able to replace that hammer, swap out the hammer with the old hammer, kind of slowed things down a bit. But even with that, I don't even think it took me an hour. I don't exactly know because I've had customers calling me and had a customer come in to drop off the clock right in the middle of all this. Is why I had to stop the video a couple of times. But I would say no more than an hour to replace the movement. It would have been quite a bit quicker than that if I could would have been able to swap over those hammers, which apparently you can't do now, with the shielding, the chain shielding that's on those chain rings. So we'll have to keep that in mind for future reference. Folks, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. If you like the channel, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel and join us for future repairs that we'll be doing. I don't have anything in mind. I would like to do a musical Cuckoo movement replacement, a modern one, and if a customer brings one of those over, I'll definitely do a video on that. They're a little more involved. I replace the governors on the music movement, and of course the movements themselves when they're worn out. So we'll look forward to that in the future. Folks, take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.